The political landscape in the United States has never been more polarizing, and nothing highlights this better than the recent showdown involving Jimmy Kimmel, Donald Trump, and J.D. Vance. What was initially expected to be just another debate quickly turned into an explosive event that rattled the American public and further divided political allegiances. This wasn't just about healthcare, immigration, or the 2020 election results. It was a performance marked by lies, dramatics, and the ever-present shadow of Trump. When Kimmel decided to weigh in on the debate, he unleashed a tirade that left Trump's thin skin bruised and exposed Vance's disingenuous behavior on the debate stage. In this article, we'll explore the chaotic moments that unfolded, the lies that J.D. Vance tried to sell, Trump's typical but stinging reaction, and why Kimmel's takedown of both men resonated with millions of Americans. Buckle up. This was a debate that rocked the nation. J.D. Vance, the author of Hillbilly Elegy turned Ohio Senator, has always had a complicated relationship with Donald Trump. He once denounced Trump publicly, but later found himself aligned with the former president for political gain. Vance's debate performance was no ordinary political theater. It was a carefully crafted performance that seemed, at times, to serve not just his own agenda, but that of Trump's, as if Vance were auditioning to be Trump's most loyal lieutenant. However, it was this balancing act that made Vance's debate appearance so uncomfortable to watch. Here was a man clearly capable of delivering polished, articulate arguments, but at the same time, unable to distance himself from Trump's legacy, particularly the falsehoods surrounding the 2020 election. In a moment that encapsulated the debate's tension, Vance was asked a simple yes or no question. Did Trump lose the 2020 election? His inability to answer directly highlighted the dilemma facing MAGA-aligned Republicans. To Vance, the truth is negotiable, especially when appealing to Trump's base. Kimmel, ever the political commentator disguised as a comedian, was quick to call out this hypocrisy. With his signature biting humor, he remarked that defending Trump must feel like being Diddy's defense attorney, a futile task given the baggage Trump carries. Kimmel's astute observations cut through the noise, pointing out that Vance's performance wasn't just a failure in substance, but a danger to truth itself. Healthcare lies. The Trumpian fantasy. Healthcare has long been a contentious issue in American politics, and J.D. Vance wasted no time wading into the murky waters. He boldly claimed that Donald Trump had saved healthcare in a bipartisan effort, an assertion that was immediately met with skepticism. It was a bizarre rewriting of history, especially given that Trump had spent his presidency trying to dismantle the Affordable Care Act, ACA, also known as Obamacare. The reality, as Kimmel pointed out in his monologue, was that Trump had attempted multiple times to repeal Obamacare, and it was only saved by the late Senator John McCain's decisive vote in 2017. Vance's statements were not just misleading, they were dangerous. For millions of Americans who rely on the ACA for affordable health care, Vance's false claims could easily be interpreted as fact. In an era where misinformation spreads rapidly on social media, such statements, when left unchallenged, have real-world consequences. Kimmel recognized this, warning his viewers that these lies, when packaged neatly and presented by a polished speaker like Vance, can easily deceive those unfamiliar with the true history of healthcare reform in America. What made Vance's healthcare lie even more egregious was the fact that he knew better. He had access to the same historical data as everyone else, yet he chose to distort the truth to fit his narrative. This manipulation of facts is a hallmark of Trump-era politics. Truth is flexible, and reality is whatever serves the political agenda of the moment. In this case, Vance hoped to appeal to voters by presenting Trump as a savior of American healthcare, when in fact, it was Trump's administration that posed the greatest threat to it. Immigration, the old, familiar Trump playbook. As expected, the topic of immigration was a major point of contention during the debate. Vance, echoing Trump's rhetoric, claimed that immigrants were taking jobs away from American workers and contributing to the country's economic decline. His comments were aimed at stirring fear and resentment, especially among those who believe that illegal immigration is responsible for the nation's economic woes. Vance's argument, however, doesn't hold up under scrutiny. According to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, immigrants are actually contributing to the growth of the American workforce, not detracting from it. Over the past 12 months, 1.5 million immigrants have joined the workforce, while the number of native-born workers has decreased, largely due to retirements and a slowing population growth. Without immigrants, the U.S. economy would be shrinking, not growing. Kimmel, in his typically sharp style, wasted no time pointing out the absurdity of Vance's claims. He mocked the senator for disregarding expert opinions and relying on fear-mongering instead of facts. In a particularly scathing segment, Kimmel reminded his audience that Vance, much like Trump, has no interest in the truth when it comes to immigration. Instead, both men prefer to use immigrants as scapegoats for the country's problems, even though the data clearly shows that immigrants are helping to sustain the economy, not destroy it. The 2020 election, the elephant in the room. Perhaps the most defining moment of the debate came when J.D. Vance was asked directly if Donald Trump had lost the 2020 election. It was a moment that could have defined Vance as either a man of principle or a politician trapped by the weight of Trump's influence. His inability to provide a straightforward answer exposed the depth of his allegiance to Trump and the MAGA base. Kimmel pounced on this moment during his late-night monologue, comparing Vance's cowardice to the behavior of Trump himself. He noted that Trump, despite his bombastic persona, is deeply insecure when it comes to the topic of his 2020 election loss. Kimmel reminded his audience of Trump's obsession with Jimmy Kimmel Live, pointing out how Trump regularly takes shots at him during rallies. Kimmel joked that Trump's thin skin couldn't handle the truth, let alone a comedian's critique. Vance's refusal to acknowledge the legitimacy of the 2020 election was not just a political misstep. It was a symptom of the larger problem within the Republican Party. By perpetuating Trump's election lies, Vance signaled to his supporters that he values loyalty to Trump over the integrity of American democracy. This, Kimmel argued, is why Vance's debate performance was so dangerous. Unlike Trump, who often exaggerates and bluffs, Vance presented his lies in a calm, measured, and convincing manner, making them all the more insidious. Fentanyl, another lie, another scapegoat. In another attempt to capitalize on fear and misinformation, Vance turned his attention to the issue of fentanyl, a synthetic opioid that has been responsible for a surge in overdose deaths across the country. He falsely claimed that Vice President Kamala Harris had allowed fentanyl to flood American communities, a blatant lie that once again went unchallenged by the moderators during the debate. Kimmel, however, was quick to dismantle Vance's argument. He pointed out that the vast majority of fentanyl entering the U.S. is seized at legal border crossings, not by asylum seekers as Vance and Trump would have people believe. In fact, most of the fentanyl is smuggled in by U.S. citizens, not migrants. Moreover, fentanyl-related deaths actually decreased by 10% last year, a fact that directly contradicts Vance's fear-mongering. What made Vance's lies about fentanyl so dangerous was the way he presented them. Unlike Trump, who often rambles and makes outlandish claims, Vance's delivery was calm, confident, and articulate. This made his falsehoods all the more believable to viewers who may not be familiar with the facts. Kimmel, recognizing this, used his platform to fact-check Vance in real time, ensuring that his audience understood the truth behind the fentanyl crisis. Kimmel versus Trump. The battle continues. One of the most entertaining aspects of this entire spectacle was the ongoing feud between Jimmy Kimmel and Donald Trump. Over the years, Kimmel has become one of Trump's most vocal critics, regularly using his late-night show to lampoon the former president's behavior and policies. Trump, in turn, has made Kimmel a frequent target during his rallies, often calling him the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards. Kimmel, never one to back down from a fight, responded to Trump's latest attack with his trademark wit. He reminded Trump and his viewers of the time Trump posted on his social media platform, Truth Social, calling Kimmel the worst host. In a hilarious segment, Kimmel replayed the moment when Trump's critique was read aloud at the Oscars, much to the audience's amusement. But Kimmel didn't stop there. He brought out his wife, Molly McNinney, who delivered a scathing takedown of Trump's record on women's rights. In a powerful moment, McNinney addressed Trump directly, thanking him for stacking the Supreme Court with justices who have rolled back women's reproductive rights and imposed draconian abortion bans across the country. Her advice to Trump? Shut up. This back and forth between Kimmel and Trump has become a staple of American late-night television. However, it's more than just entertainment. It's a reflection of the deep divisions in the country. Kimmel represents a liberal perspective that values facts, science, and social justice, while Trump and his supporters represent a more conservative worldview that often rejects those values in favor of populism and nationalism. The debate between J.D. Vance and his opponents, with the ever-present specter of Donald Trump looming large, was a turning point in American politics. It exposed the deep divisions within the Republican Party and highlighted the dangers of misinformation in political discourse. Vance's inability to separate himself from Trump, combined with his willingness to distort the truth, revealed a politician more interested in serving his own ambitions than the American people. Jimmy Kimmel's takedown of both Vance and Trump resonated with millions of viewers because it called out this hypocrisy and stood up for truth in an era when lies are often more convenient. In the end, the debate that was meant to discuss healthcare, immigration, and the economy became a referendum on the state of American politics itself. It reminded us that in the age of Trump, the truth is often the first casualty.